My final site to visit in the Reefton Goldfields today is Oceana Gold's Globe Progress mine. After breaking ground in 2005, gold production began in 2007. This was once one of New Zealand's major hard rock gold mines, yielding 610,000 ounces of gold by the time production ended in February 2016. Since then, Oceana Gold's rehabilitation teams have worked to transform the site and consulted with locals on what they want up here, including what remnants of the operation should remain.
And that was the switch room, foundation, and then above that was the control room.
Jeff was an electrician here in the early days and remembers what it was like when the pits and processing plant were in full swing, employing more than 200 people in different parts of the mine.
Ball mill was pretty noisy when it was running, and if it wasn't running, it normally meant we had a breakdown, and so there was a hive of activity. And 24/7, Christmas Day, whatever.
After almost a decade milling gold from quartz, the processing plant was one of the first things to go when mining stopped.
I think they had it down in about a month. So yeah, that was two guys on diggers with bunches and just bunched it up with scrap steel.
One of the earliest people to arrive at this mine, Jeff's now one of the last to leave. I asked him what it's been like closing up shop.
The strangest day was the day that was just dead quiet up here. To come up here, no noise and no one running around, it was just like, whoa.
One of the biggest woes up here is the sheer number of native trees that have been planted across the 260 hectare footprint of the mine. It hasn't just been a matter of throwing out seedlings and hoping for the best. Steph, who oversaw much of the rehab, took me to a recently planted slope to talk me through the process.
We did progressive rehab here, so we started planting trees as early as 2007, and up to date we've done just over 1 million trees in total, which is pretty cool. We focus on 4 species, so that's Manuka and 3 beech, so silver beech, mountain beech and red beech. In some of the earlier plantings we planted more of a wide variety, but we've found that through monitoring that these 4 are the best at that successional process and growing up fast, creating canopy closure and allowing all of the other species to come in underneath.
The slope we're standing on looks like a natural contour, but it was once a stripped back, benched pit wall.
And so the first step of rehab is to recontour those down to look as natural as possible, try and take out some of that bench rock, smooth that out. After we've recontoured, we place 500 mils of weathered rock that we stripped and stored somewhere. And then on top of that is about 200 mils of topsoil and all the forest stuff and logs and all sorts of other things. The logs are actually super important. They stop erosion, they stop any water sheeting off creating scours, and they create these microclimate sites where you have these areas that are more sheltered, even a lot of seed and things are still part of these logs, and you'll have ferns and all sorts of different species come up under those.
Further up the slope we found some more mature trees.
So these trees were planted in 2013 when I very first started, so they are getting close to 13 years old, 12, 13 years old. You can see that they've already reached canopy closure, getting that nice dense bush forming. You can see that all that grass has now died out and you've just got like sort of more moss and something more natural like you would see in an actual forest. If you think about it, this is only 12 years old and it's already looking like a forest. When you walk through now, there's bird life, insect life, it's pretty cool.
Steph started working at Globe Progress as part of her master's thesis, developing this vertical flow reactor that treats mine water. Managing water quality is a big focus on mine sites, one that continues into the rehab phase and through to mine closure. Megan has been part of the team of staff and contractors who helped develop this wetland to deal with sediment loads.
Just behind me we have Fossickers Lake, which was the tailing storage facility. So that was where all the sort of water from the processing plant was pumped to this area. During operations it was very like milk coloured and high sediment, and then we've done some partial capping and planting, which you can see all around me, and the actual water itself has cleared up and is now able to be discharged without any treatment.
probably the most striking water feature here is the Globe Progress pit lake. Megan took me up to the newly constructed lookout to give an idea of what the future holds, including passing the management of the site back to the Department of Conservation.
Oceana Gold and Globe Progress Mine was a big part of the community, so we do have invested community members and what they envision to be left on site and the sort of access. So we are working through that process currently with Department of Conservation as well. When we decided to do a bit of a project, a visitor experience project to leave this place for the community, we did do consultation, and there was feedback forms and meetings and things that we held to try and incorporate comments. And one of those was having a track that linked Reefton Township to site, having like interpretation and things and lookout points so you can actually see. We're not trying to hide that we're mining, but this is what we're leaving in place.
There's certainly no hiding from a long heritage of mining here in Reefton. As recent mines close, new ones open. Thanks to all the explorers, miners and rehabbers from Reefton Gold, Federation Mining and Oceana Gold for giving us a glimmer of life in the Reefton Goldfield. We look forward to seeing you next time as we continue to meet the miners.